The Forgotten Highway.
Chapter 1. The Move. I never thought I'd end up living alone after my parents' divorce, but it was either that or go back home to Florida and face their constant bickering every day for another year. When I saw this old apartment complex on Craigslist, something drew me to it despite its dilapidated exterior. It wasn't just the low rent. There was an allure to the place that called out to me. On a sweltering summer afternoon in August, I signed my lease and stepped into what would be my new home. An old Victorian house in a decaying neighborhood most people avoided like the plague. The musty smell of decay and neglect greeted me as soon as I opened the front door. But amidst all the cobwebs and creaking wooden floors, there was something endearing about this forgotten relic. The apartment's landlord, Mr. Jenkins, showed me around, his hunchback reminding me more of a wizened tree than a person. He spoke with an aged drawl as he pointed to various rooms with a gnarled finger. Attic room is up those stairs and at the end of the hall. I trudged upstairs, my luggage wheels echoing in the empty hallway, until I reached a wooden door that looked almost medieval. It creaked when opened, revealing an attic that felt like stepping into the past. Old trunks, dusty with age, filled the space under a low ceiling. In the center of this time capsule sat a sturdy desk covered in an array of peculiar objects. Antique dolls, faded photographs, and an ornate music box playing a haunting melody from a bygone era. My curiosity got the better of me as I approached it. A wooden locket adorned with strange symbols caught my eye. It was when I picked it up that I heard whispers, soft at first, but growing louder in my mind. Leave now. Chills broke out along my arms despite the muggy heat, and I replaced the locket on the desk. As night descended, I settled into a worn armchair by the window, too exhausted to unpack more than my meager belongings. Outside, fireflies danced like tiny lanterns amidst the overgrown garden below. Inside, flickering shadows cast eerie silhouettes across the walls as wind whistled through gaps in the wooden frame. In the stillness that followed, a sudden thump jolted me upright. My heart raced. I'd been sure it came from upstairs. The creaking resumed, floorboards groaning under unseen feet, echoing from above. Perhaps the house had a way of settling into its new tenant after decades of vacancy. With a book clutched to my chest, I retreated to bed as moonlight painted intricate patterns across the walls. I dreamt of falling, tumbling through darkness towards faceless figures reaching out to grab me. When I woke up with a start, disoriented in the dark, I reached for the flashlight on my nightstand and clicked it on. The door, once shut, now hung at an angle. My breath fogged the lens as I approached it slowly. It was wide open, revealing an empty landing. I ventured out into the hallway, expecting no answer to my name. Hello? Is someone there? No echo but for the house settling again. Back in bed, the strange room took over my thoughts. Elizabeth, perhaps a former occupant's name etched on photographs and trinkets. The locket lay open on the desk, revealing a faded photograph of a girl with sunken eyes staring back at me from an antique frame. Shadows cast by the moonlight seemed to move of their own accord across the attic floor, as if something lurked there, watching. Dust danced in my room, illuminated by the moonlight that sliced through shutters. I donned sweatpants and a T-dot shirt before investigating. Stairs groaned underfoot. Each step revealed more signs of neglect. Peeling wallpaper, water damage, and shadows cast by unseen eyes. The attic room was still warm despite the oppressive heat outside. Upon entering, my gaze went to Elizabeth's trinkets once more. My fingers brushed over a music box. It opened with an ethereal note that sent shivers down my spine before I closed it. A faint rustling from behind a wooden door made me hesitate. Tiptoeing, heart thudding, I pulled the door open, revealing a hidden space filled with more relics. In the center sat Elizabeth's desk, drawers and files adorned with the same photographs. Intrigued, I opened a file bearing her name and a date, 1956. A photograph fell out, not of the girl from the locket, but a group photo. They were all smiling. She was the only one gazing off into space. The days blurred as classes took over my life at school. Yet, when night came, so did the strange occurrences. I'd hear whispers of "get out" or "leave now." Sometimes things moved on their own, trinkets sliding across the desk, a file falling to the floor. At night, shadows darted through the attic door, only to disappear in my room. One night, as sleep eluded me, I sensed it, an insidious presence watching me from the attic. My gaze flicked towards the open doorway. In that instant, darkness enveloped the space. No light could breach this threshold. A breath of cold air caressed the back of my neck before I lost myself in the void between sleep and wakefulness. When I awoke again with a start, shadows danced before disappearing when I looked up. Or so I thought. In those first weeks, an invisible force shaped my nights, making me question what was real. Then one morning, unpacking boxes beneath the glow of a summer sunbeam streaming through stained glass windows, the attic room's mystery finally unraveled itself. Amidst Elizabeth's photographs were newspaper clippings, a haunting story that drew me in like moth to flame. Elizabeth Winters disappeared at 17 and was found dead months later in these very woods. In a trunk filled with trinkets, I found her journal tucked between old clothes. The entries spoke of an unseen entity, unrelenting whispers, and the plea for peace before death. A shiver crawled up my spine as Elizabeth's fate entwined with mine. It was then I realized the importance of that locket. Each night, I sought solace in her pages while avoiding the shadowy figures haunting me, never confronting them directly. As dusk approached on a sweltering day, a knock at the door broke my reverie. Mr. Jenkins handed me his key and a small envelope with my name scribbled on it. Inside were keys to the attic room, now mine to keep or lose as I wished. The room took on an allure, like Elizabeth's secrets whispered in the night air. My curiosity turned fascination fueled by the discovery of old letters between Elizabeth and her mother. I was her doppelganger, both daughters of darkness, cast into a world we couldn't comprehend. Chapter 2. The Stranger. Intruders shattered the stillness during my late night study sessions. An incessant knocking followed by muffled voices. They spoke in hushed tones outside my door. An unspoken message reverberated through my mind. "Get out," or perhaps it was Elizabeth, echoing a haunting refrain. I locked my room and retreated to the attic sanctuary, my haven. Shadows were here, swirling around me, yet no longer menacing. As darkness descended each night, they danced, performing a macabre waltz. One evening, they solidified into shadowy shapes that watched from above the landing. The air was thick with an inhuman presence. The next day, during classes, I found my backpack drenched. Inside, photographs ripped to shreds. Not Elizabeth's smiling face, but mine. I pieced together a fragmented narrative of dark rituals conducted within these woods and whispers, pleading for peace until death. An unseen force had taken up residence. In the attic room, an envelope materialized with each night. each day at dawn swallowed by the wind. These letters from her mother spoke of loss and despair. My own life was mirroring Elizabeth's. I pieced together a narrative. My mother left in the dead of night when I was 3, whispers echoing my childhood, echoes of the woman she'd become. In that moment, something ancient resonated within me. I ran downstairs, past Mr. Jenkins' hasty retreat behind his newspaper, and reached the front door as it creaked open. There was no one outside, but darkness seeped into our small town like an inky miasma, a presence I couldn't explain or confront. At night, I'd find my belongings with strange messages scrawled on them. Often, Elizabeth is dead. Get out. My room's mirror caught the attention of the trespasser. In it, a silhouette. Gone eyes stared back from beneath a black hoodie. An image that shifted to Elizabeth, then back to me before vanishing into the void. Shadows danced in my reflection. The darkness encroached. Shadows or more. I clung to my bed frame as they engulfed us. The door creaked open, and the figure stepped inside. A gust of wind extinguished what little light trickled through shutters. In the sudden darkness, she spoke. "You're mine now." With a blood-curdling scream, it vanished into the night, leaving me gasping for breath. I had to tell them about her. But who would believe an apparition? The next evening, there was another knock, and Mr. Jenkins handed me letters from Elizabeth's mother. Pleas for peace amidst whispers of an unending darkness. A car screeched in the distance, followed by a thud of flesh meeting metal. Elizabeth found dead. Each night brought new messages on my belongings. "I will claim you. Leave." The figure appeared every time at dawn. An apparition in tattered clothes and dread that filled eyes. I fled to campus late that evening, where whispers became mantras amidst the din of students. A car horn shattered silence, a life claimed too soon. They'd found Elizabeth's body on the forest floor, near those woods from which she never returned. My heart raced. If her spirit had become my constant companion. Chapter 3. Unsettling Discoveries. I fled home as shadows pursued me, darkness personified in human form. The night was filled with a sense of foreboding before I could process this apparition's return. A figure loomed in the moonlight, Elizabeth's hoodie and sunken eyes. In terror, she whispered to the shadow that had claimed her life, "Let us go." The presence coalesced into a dark hooded form with eyes, standing over me until night took it away as suddenly as it materialized. I'd seen a killer in Elizabeth, not an ethereal guardian. My room mirrored the woodlands where she died, yet I couldn't shake the feeling of Elizabeth's spirit had evolved into my own doppelganger. They whispered in unison now, "Let us out." In class, students fell ill from a mysterious illness, all mentioning black figures on their skin and an eerie chanting in dreams. Their eyes reflected my own. I ran into campus security. They spoke of shadowy figures stalking girls through these woods. The same whispers that had led Elizabeth to her demise. They found me. "Run," I was told. In a haze, I fled through moonlight, shadows as silent friends behind me. A car screeched again, mangled metal a cruel farewell. Elizabeth was dead. In darkness and rain, an unseen force bore down on me, until my mother's face stared back in the mirror. She'd been dead for years. Shadows merged into a figure that spoke with Elizabeth's voice. "Let us out." As I opened the attic room, she whispered, "Run," and they followed suit. The room darkened as we fled together into dawn. In the chaos, shadows swirled behind us, then vanished into thin air, leaving me on campus grounds. My mother's eyes met mine in a fleeting glance. Her sunken gaze echoed Elizabeth's. As I stood over her mangled corpse, all I saw were two shadowed figures fleeing the scene. My heart pounded as they vanished into the night with their hooded companion. They'd claimed another life, my doppelganger or both, and perhaps me too if I let them. The sun rose on broken bodies, girls who had also fled in darkness. And then there was silence. What do you think of this story? It's an intriguing narrative that draws the reader in with its blend of suspense and supernatural elements woven into everyday life. The dark presence, shadowy figures stalking and claiming victims, is both haunting and captivating. While some aspects may seem familiar to readers who enjoy horror or ghost stories, the author skillfully creates a sense of unease through vivid imagery and an ever-evolving plot that keeps you engaged.